Computer. And good morning and welcome to Touch Base Daily. My name is Ron Foster and I'm touching base with you. How are you doing? There's a whole lot going on in the now. Today is our Focus Friday.
Something went wrong.
And it's our Focus Friday. And there's a lot going on. Have y'all seen the Alien against the Predator? I mean, what is going on in the world today? Elon and Trump have been at it 24 hours of mayhem and craziness. This is quite interesting. What's going on, Hannah? You're the first person in the building. You get the gold medal today. She says, good morning, Ron and Touch Base Daily family. So good to see you in here. But yeah, and all those that are joining me, I am in my bedroom because they are painting in the other room. And finally, hopefully today will be they don't put 2 coats on today. So it should be all ready for me to go back into that room and then take this room apart so they can come into this room by Monday. So Monday, they're going to start painting this side of the house. So that's going to be it. So how are you guys doing? And I sound a little off, a little strange. They try to get my desk here, my mic right in the right spot. And but you can hear me. You can hear me well. I see the silver goes to Mr. Brian Young Creative. Happy Friday, he says. And also Mimi's in the building. She says, good day, Ron and RLP fam. It's so funny because I was telling Gwendolyn yesterday, our show was viewed like 419 views yesterday, which is a lot for us. And there was a lot of people tuning in yesterday to what we were talking about, which is great. But I said today is going to be part 2 because, I mean, we're not going to spend a lot of time on Elon and Trump. But I have to say, have you guys been following this last 24 hours? It has been insane. Kelly is in the building. She is in the building. And one of my Focus Fridays is going to be Lawrence O'Donnell. And so I'm going to bring up Lawrence's page in a little bit. And because Lawrence, no one says it like Lawrence. And I don't get a chance to look at a lot of mainstream media these days. Most of the time, I am hanging out with the independent media folks. Right now, I was going to Don Lemon earlier today, and this topic is it's just juicy. It's just men behaving badly, and it is definitely. I am very intrigued because I would like nothing more to see MAGA crumble as their 2 leaders are fighting it out. It is insane. Have you guys been following? Am I the only one following this craziness? But let me see if I can get O'Donnell on here. Let me see. Yeah, there it is. That's what I wanted to put that on the screen and get that all set up for you. And so that way we can, one of my favorite people to watch though at night, at the end of the day, is Lawrence O'Donnell from MSNBC. He is one of my favorites. I even support his desk initiative for the children of from Maui. And so I've donated to one of his charities. Anyway, one of my favorite people in the news business is The Last Word, with Lawrence O'Donnell. So anyway, we're going to go there in a moment, and I think you're going to get a kick out of this. And again, this is one of those I'm looking forward to. I'm hoping MAGA crumbles. I really do. Lisa's in the building. She says, "Good morning, everyone. I am Miss Reese." Says, "I'm in the building. Good morning, RLP family." And Mimi says, "Good morning, all." And G is in the building. She says, "Good morning, y'all," with her Texas twang. And Lisa said, "The girls are girling." Elon and Trump are girling out. It is crazy. Okay, this is what Bryce is saying about entertainment in the world where we are today. What's up? What's up, RLP fam? What's up, Touch Base Daily fam? Chris is in the building, y'all. I see Chris coming up the driveway. Chris is in the building. He's coming up the driveway. So anyway, what's up, Touch Base Daily fam? Happy John Wick Day. Happy Cynthia Erivo Friday. Happy Mariah Carey Friday. Happy New Welcome to the weekend. Yes, the doorbell is being rung. He can just enter in because he has a key.
You hear me okay?
Yes, we hear you great.
Okay. I had to jump on because I saw what you're going to talk about, and I did not sleep last night because I was sitting there scrolling through Instagram. So I had to. I'm not going to be on long, as you can see. I'm still
You're
putting
still
together my office.
unpacking.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, everything else is done. It's just I'm just finishing up this right now. But yeah, I want you to roll the footage, and then we can get into it. Good morning to everyone out there in Touch Space Daily Land. It's nice to see you guys.
Oh my gosh, hold on a second. It's been, let's say hello to some folks. Janet's in the building. She says, "Greetings, Touch Base Daily family." Lisa says, "Honestly, Elon could spill all the beans, but these people don't care." Kimmy says, "Hi, everyone." Jamel Shabazz is in the building. He says, "Grand Rising family." And Jazzy's in the building. Jazzy and I had a good conversation yesterday. Woo, she's been coming into the workspace and we've been talking. She said, "Good morning, beautiful people." And Mimi says, "We can't unsee it and ready for us to come clean about throwing the election."
Listen, I'm telling you,
I said, I'm hoping that
all going to drop.
Says I hope Elon goes there and says, "We manipulated, we did what we needed to do for Trump to get in office." I mean, wouldn't that be scandalous? And
he's
now,
already
what would the
calling for
nation
impeachment.
do? Yes, but what would the nation do? Would they go back and say Kamala's the one?
No,
this country
never
doesn't do that.
It'll
right?
never happen.
Because the cheetah does win in America. Anyway,
unless I mean, I wouldn't say Congress will ever go back and impeach him and actually take him out of office. But then even if he does, Vance would be president.
Glenn says, "I have no such Texas twang." Elise is in the building. She says, "Good morning, everyone. Good morning." Bryson says, "The way they are bickering, man, and they didn't elect Kamala because she would be too emotional." Please.
That part. That part.
Yes, Chris Mimi said, yes.
I posted my story. It's probably like around 3 o'clock this morning. Someone had put up about them fighting. I was like, yes, I'm here for it. RuPaul should have them on Drag Race and let them lip sync for their lives.
Yes,
they are just going. They are bickering like two old drag queens.
They two drag queens. As a matter of fact, one of the guys that was on Don Lemon yesterday, he says maybe they are aware that it's Pride. It's Pride Month. Because they are fighting like two drag queens. Oh my gosh, they're fighting like two drag
queens. Listen,
it's great. Let's go to
here for it.
You want to go to the videotape for this?
Yes.
This is Lawrence O'Donnell, and no one does this better than Lawrence.
I
I'm
listened to him
serious.
this morning.
He is
He has a way
so
of doing it. He's very
yes,
subtle. He's very
yes.
subtle.
His
And I
I
watched I listened to Ari this morning also because those are the two that I listened to when I'm doing my walk.
oh
Ari was very blunt about it. But Lawrence called it. He predicted it was going to happen and it came true. So
yes.
go ahead and play the
Here
clip.
we go. Let's play the clip. Oh,
136th day
where's
of
my
his
sound? Where's my
presidency.
sound? Wait, hold on. What's
The
going on?
wheels
It's
came
there.
off
We can
the
hear it.
You can
Trump
hear it? Okay.
crazy
Yeah.
train. Donald Trump was humiliated once again today in the Oval
I'm
Office
not
on the
hearing it.
world
I'm
stage,
not hearing it.
sitting in exactly the same humiliation chair where he has been repeatedly
Why
humiliated
am
by
I not
visiting
hearing
heads
it?
of state from Europe. Today it was the German chancellor's turn to sit beside Donald Trump and humiliate him, but that got overshadowed by someone who was not even in the room today. Donald Trump became the first president in history to get humiliated by two people at the same time, with one of them not even being in the room. The richest person in the world, who Donald Trump now claims he fired last week, was live tweeting Donald Trump's stupidity festival in the Oval Office, saying, among other things, Donald Trump should be impeached. Donald Trump is by far the stupidest person any European head of state has ever had to meet.
So why do I start things and never finish them?
It's all
Hate
due
the
to
commercials.
something called law of sustainment. In psychology,
Oh, yeah,
the
the
law of sustainment, if you
commercials.
want to write this down,
There you go.
is
It's good.
LOS. The law of sustainment
Here we go.
states that you cannot sustain.
And Donald Trump is so stupid, he didn't realize the French president sitting beside him was humiliating him when he was the first one to visit during this presidency. The next one was the British prime minister who humiliated Donald Trump without Donald Trump realizing it, of course. Donald Trump humiliated himself, and when President Volodymyr Zelensky humiliated Donald Trump during their meeting, in which Donald Trump lost control, egged on by his buffoonish vice president, while President Zelensky showed the world what courage and leadership actually look like. Germany's Chancellor, Friedrich Merz, had to do what every other head of state, including South Africa's president, had to do in the Oval Office, which is, of course, to correct the unlimited stupidity of Donald Trump. You will see that correction of Trump's stupidity in a moment, and then, of course, we will turn to what has become the Musk versus Trump war. This is not a feud. This is the world's two craziest, most dangerous rich people, each trying to find a way now to completely destroy the other. Not feud with the other, destroy the other. Elon Musk is now calling for the impeachment of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is now calling for cutting off all government contracts with Elon Musk's companies. Steve Bannon, Trump ally, is now calling for Elon Musk to be deported. All out madness has broken out in Trump world, with Donald Trump at the center of the madness, causing all of the madness. But before we turn to that, we'll focus on that moment in the Oval Office today.
Y'all.
But listen, who didn't expect this to happen? I mean,
We
you've got
knew it was
two
going to happen.
crazy people. I don't think anyone thought it would happen this soon.
Someone
136
predicted,
days.
they said it was going to happen by August. Well, it's June, so you're right. No one expected
Yeah.
it this soon, but there were some people that said they were going
And
to
the
have
fallout,
a fallout.
but the fallout is rough. I mean, he's now saying, first of all, it was Elon stepping back. Now Trump is saying, oh no, I fired his ass, basically. You know what I mean? And then he was like, well, I was this. I mean, so you had a yard sale of Teslas on the front lawn of the White House, and all of a sudden now his business is failing. I mean, you were propping it up not too long ago. Listen to me. Elon is Elon is crazy enough to say all the things. This man is high on ketamine and all these other drugs. He's going to he's going to say all the things and put it out there. And Trump is stupid enough to take the bait and going to fall for it.
Yes. I am look.
Mutual
I mean,
self-destruction.
well, like Reese said yesterday, I think it was Reese. For those that don't, Reese is another person we follow. I follow, and I think she was saying yesterday. She goes, "Man, he went nuclear." Speaking about Elon, and she was saying that you don't go nuclear unless you know the relationship is over.
Yeah,
She was like, it's like, you hold back that card and you like, I better not say it that way because maybe there's hope that we'll get back together. But
not at
once you're at
all.
the place where you're not going to get back together, then you throw it all out there. So anyway, it's just priceless. But the reason why I'm recommending Lawrence O'Donnell on this Focus Friday, because this is Focus Friday, and we talk about, social media that inspires, encourages, and informs. You will get all three of those in Lawrence O'Donnell's The Last Word.
Yeah,
It is one of the only shows that I've held on to from mainstream media.
yeah.
And
Him
that
and
is
Rachel.
because MSNBC, for whatever reason, allows Lawrence O'Donnell to say what's on his mind unfiltered.
Here's the other thing too, though. I think also it's his time slot that allows him to get away with that
Mm.
because he comes on. What is it?
He's the
10
last
o'clock
one. He's at 10
or is it
o'clock.
11? Yeah, 10
He's
o'clock.
10
He's the
o'clock.
last one.
And then what's the name comes
I
on 11.
I don't watch Jen Psaki. Not that I don't like her, but I'm still kind of pissed that they replaced her with Alex.
Yeah.
But like the only thing I really listen to is him, um, Rachel, and then
Yeah, this is the two of
Lawrence.
them. And they're
Yeah,
back to
this is one
back. So
other
you got
one.
Rachel and you
Yeah,
got Lawrence. And
but only on Mondays.
but Lawrence, when they tried to silence him, I don't know what he had on them. I don't know what he said, but they said, we got to bring him back because
Oh, and Ari.
Ari's good
I
too.
remember. Yeah, because he had a lot of cultural references that are very
He's
in
a hip
step
hop
with what's
dude.
going
He's
on.
a Jewish hip hop
Yes,
dude.
yes.
He has all the hip hop rap. He has the rappers, the singers. He's a true hip hop head. So, but Lawrence O'Donnell, you are guaranteed at the end of your day, if you decide to look at it at the end of your day, to get the news. But he is one of those great sharers of stories. Like he
Yeah.
puts together the whole story.
Well,
And this was the most fascinating. I mean, I had a ball laughing. I laughed last
part
night. He calls him
part
out and say stupid.
part of his charm and his expertise is the fact that he worked in government on the
Yes, right.
Hill, so he knows a lot of that stuff. And then also, he was I believe he was a writer or contributor for the show The West Wing, so he knows all the ins and outs of Washington D.C. and politics, and he knows history. That's the
Yes.
thing. He studies history, just like Rachel studies history. Like you can always tell a good journalist because they have references
Reference
of
points.
the past. They can back it up with facts and examples, and they have great teams behind them.
Mm-hmm. I see in here also some folks are in here. Some people I see Jazzy's laughing, Hannah's laughing, Bryce has got the power. Brian has the power up there. I love how stories, Chris. Chris, just stop. No, whatever that meant. And let's see here. It had to happen. The Epstein files, that's when he went
Yes,
nuclear.
listen to me. He
Epstein files.
knows. He's probably seen them.
I'm sure
I
he's
would not be surprised if he put stuff on X.
well,
I
he
mean,
has. He has been putting footage out on
yeah,
X.
no, but that's the tame stuff that we've all seen before.
Yeah,
I'm
the stuff
really
that we haven't
surprised if he
seen.
had, because here's the thing. He gave Doge complete access to everything in the government.
Yeah.
Who's to say he didn't download all those files? He probably has everything he needs to destroy everyone in government. All right. And then I think the irony is Elon was the one after he bought Twitter and changed it to X, was the one to reinstore Donald Trump back on X, and now he has
Yes.
suspended his account. And that is not a man with a vendetta. He is like a scorned woman.
He is scorned.
He is about to throw all his
Scorned.
shit out the window and throw it on the front lawn so
It's-
everybody can see.
It's like the scene from Exhale. Remember Waiting to
Wait till that,
Exhale?
yes.
When she takes all the clothes and then takes that lighter.
Oh, listen to me. I want to watch that bitch burn. Let it burn in the public square so we can all see it. Who's at the
We're on our way. What's going on,
What's up,
Jazzy?
Hi. Listen, I love it. I love to see it. It's hey.
Yeah,
It's
it's crazy.
You can't
knew it
have
Karma's a bitch.
people.
Karma's a bitch.
Yes, it's just it's funny to watch because they're so egotistical that they can't get out of their own way and they're not realizing
This is
like,
the joke
hey,
Yeah. We heard it doing it. Oh, there's someone else at the door. Somebody's knocking at the door. Somebody's ringing the bell. There she is,
Party time.
Elise.
Elise,
Good morning. Oh, artwork is up.
Oh, the art girls, the art twins. They're the art twins
let
today.
me
Finally got it up.
yes.
The
I've
art
had this
twins.
for like 4 years.
But this is but the Epstein files, they and we knew that Patel and these people were lying. I knew this is why they were holding it up, because first of all, we already have the footage of them being in the same space, in the same clubs, in the same rooms, in the same, I mean,
Airplane.
these guys were buddies.
Mhm.
He was
And
in.
we can't imagine what we haven't seen.
Yes.
I will just say they have been saying the quiet part out loud. He has gotten on microphones instead, basically has said multiple times on a live press conference, in live press conferences at different occasions that the election was rigged. Like he's saying it out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And then his over here now, or his frenemy, basically confirming it. And I'm just like, all of this stuff, nothing surprises me. I think what's really surprising me is the fact that we're all like, who? It's like, nobody.
No.
I'm like, no.
I'm just here for the spoon of the tea.
Yeah, we're just here for the tea.
I'm like, okay.
It's tea time.
The tea we already knew that was there.
We already
Right.
knew.
Exactly. I'm just like, okay. So
It's interesting to see two grown ass men just kind of go at it like two little girls.
But they are.
And I don't mean it in a derogatory way.
Yeah, right. Not to say bad things about the girls.
Yeah.
I hear all of the analogies about different people, drag queens, little girls. These are middle school boys on the playground.
They are middle school
These
boys
are middle
on
school
the
kids.
playground.
That's how they are. They are
And they
petty.
act like that. Yes.
They're gonna tell everything on each other. They did it all the time. I got to hear multiple stories. They are middle school boys on the playground, tearing each other up, and they're gonna make sure. Oh, they're gonna take you to the principal. They're gonna tell the principal on you. They're gonna tell all your business.
Yes, they are.
Mutual destruction.
They're gonna tear each other up, and they don't
Mutual
even think about they go
destruction.
down together.
But here's the thing. I just want to. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The one thing that even though we're making light of all this, we look so bad on the world stage. Here it is, quote unquote, the president, leader of the free world, arguing with his top donor who has no business in government, and they are fighting publicly on a public platform. They're not
Right.
doing this privately.
Right.
This is stuff that goes on in Washington, but you don't hear about this until decades later when books are written and then people are deceased. This is happening live.
This
This
is
is a
live.
real-ass soap opera happening in real time, and we're all watching it.
And I
They're
think
both narcissists.
they are, but I think in the distraction of everything that's happening, the seriousness is that this man really did and does have our data, right? And he
He has
has
all of it.
Mhm.
exposed us to the world in ways that we will never be able to counteract in our lifetimes, probably. And I think one of the things that's happening right now, I'm like, it's funny and it is funny. And I think it's good to laugh at it, but we can't get so distracted by what's going on that we're not paying attention to some of the stuff that's actually happening. Because I think sometimes, you know, what they're both good at is the art of making things kind of like spicy and everything else. And we're forgetting, hey, the government is still doing things over here on the sidelines that we may not be paying attention to because they have distracted us and made us look at what they're doing. It is scary to me what is happening, to be honest, because I'm like, all right, well now, you know, even if they deport him, remember, this man is the richest man in the world. He has access to governments, not just ours. It was all governments that he had.
He has
access
the Russian government and the Chinese government.
Exactly. And I think that's something that
and he knows the secrets
of everybody.
Because we have let him into our government in ways that he should have never had access to.
Right. So, but it was his money that gave him access to all of these different governments. And then, you know, it's so crazy to see all these people turn on each other. Steve Bannon is the one leading the charge saying, deport his ass.
Deport him.
Which I think is crazy. I thought that was actually funny. I was like, that's actually funny.
They're like, he said deport
because he's not an American.
I mean, but he's also saying, Bannon is saying that he is illegal. And then they have the tape where Elon is on the stage with his brother, and they're all talking. And he says, "Well, he says we're here. He said we are here something illegally or something." And then next thing you know, he said, "Oh no!" And they're kind of like covering it up in live time. And but Steve Bannon says he thinks that Elon is not even a legal resident of the United States.
And they're talking about, and Trump is saying, "Oh, take away all of his government his contracts." But that's where all his money comes from. Government contracts. So it's like they're really going all out. They're really going all. They're like guns are out and they're blazing.
Well, here's Lisa. Lisa says this. Only before you go to the next thought. Lisa says, "My brother thinks this is all something they put together. Another distraction." Now, I don't. At first, like Joy Reid was saying yesterday, and again, Reese was saying.
Is her show live yet?
No, she was on Don Lemon yesterday, yesterday evening, and like they were saying yesterday, and I thought surely this was a distraction and that they had put this together. However, when I looked at the videotape of Trump inside the office with the chancellor, and the questions came at him about it, you could tell he was totally off his. He didn't know how to respond, and his brain was almost like frozen. And I said, "Oh no, this is real." And then you can see he was like a scorned girlfriend. Sorry, girls, but he was scorned. He felt like, well, he didn't. You know, I don't know if we're gonna be friends again. And I was like, "Oh."
But we have to remember, he is a puppet, right? So it's not necessarily
which one's a puppet?
Both of them, right? It's not necessarily that they are the ones that are pulling the current strings that are causing this division in the first place. Because they are literally being pulled left and right. That man has said in press conferences, you could tell he literally does not understand what is happening. And he's said it on multiple occasions, right? So I don't necessarily think that this is something that they orchestrated between the two of them. I think it's being orchestrated behind the scenes that is making and causing this division so that we can be distracted in this moment. Remember, these people that are running this situation, they understand what it's like and how to get you to pivot and look at in different directions. And I don't think it's always caused by him. Half the time, I don't even know what he's talking about. He genuinely gets up there and is like, what do you mean? What's this? Like, that's why they're reading executive orders out loud to him that make
he doesn't know what he's signing.
Because he doesn't understand what he's signing. And he would even say,
he's uneducated.
Right. So he doesn't understand. So I think it's one of those things where it's like, I don't necessarily think it's something that's being caused by them per se. I think it's the outliers that need them to fight, because the outliers understood they got what they needed from Elon, right? Like they don't need him
They don't need Elon, and they don't. And Trump don't need. Like yesterday we talked about. I'm sorry.
Let me say something. I want to say something because
go ahead, Lise.
Elon doesn't need us.
He don't need him.
Y'all talk about we don't
Yeah.
need Elon. They don't need Elon. Elon doesn't need us. Elon got everything he wants.
He got everything he
got
needed.
everything he wanted. He harvests data.
Yes.
Now they're gonna have what is it? Palantir. That's gonna Peter Thiel's another South African.
Peter
That's
Thiel.
gonna continue to holler Palantir. Gonna continue to harvest data, right? Our data
Yes.
of the system. So he got everything he wanted. He got access to your data, right? He got all of those investigations against him stopped,
Dropped. Yep.
right? So he got everything he
Yeah.
came in here to get for himself.
And
Right.
he's pulling stuff like he's pulling Starlink and he's pulling what's the SpaceX, which is
Exactly.
retrieves the astronauts that are up there. So if he
Yeah.
pulls that, what is America going to do? They're going to have to rely on other countries to get their astronauts down because we don't have a space program.
Right.
Exactly.
Because you privatize everything
That's right.
and let them continue to gut NASA.
Yep.
So you're beholden to him to get your satellites in orbit, bring
This is-
astronauts back. You're beholden to him for all of these things. So if you say, "Oh, we're gonna end all of this stuff," then you got to figure out you're gonna go back to Russia and ask them to help you.
And the thing is, because of the way that we have currently separated ourselves from the world, we have totally isolated ourselves in a way that is not sustainable from a security standpoint at all. And I think a lot of people like it's funny. Like I laugh at it because it's almost like it's so ridiculous how much we have put ourselves at a security risk that I don't even think people really understand, right? When we're talking about some of these like classified spaces, top secret spaces that you cannot get into, I think a lot of people look at the movies and they're just like, oh, well, it's not, that's serious stuff, right? It may not seem like it because if you don't have access to it or if you are not in spaces that this stuff matters, then you're just kind of like, okay, I can wash my hands of it. But I don't think people realize like it is to me, very scary what is happening right now because beyond some of the stuff that they are, with all the stuff that they are doing, they have really put us in a place where we are not secure. I think we take granted that we haven't, like Zelensky said it, we have an ocean between us that kind of allows us to get away with certain things that other countries cannot, right? We are not in close proximity to some of these places. But if they all band together against us, that is not a good thing. And if our allies do not trust us, that is a terrible thing.
Speaking of that, can I interject? Can I interject? Speaking of what you're talking about, is because remember over the weekend, the Ukrainians did their great mission to Russia. Mm-hmm. And so they were able to knock out half of their air fleet, the strong parts of their air fleet. But they said Trump was taken off guard because he was not in the loop. Right. Normally, the Ukrainians would have said to the United States, this is what we're going to do, and be prepared for what we're about to do. Right. But they said, Zelensky said he was not going to share with the United States because Trump would have told Vladimir.
He would have told Putin.
Right. So we are definitely our security. But here's something Mimi says. They may want Trump out of the way so Vance can step in. Now, that has been a suggestion in one of Elon's tweets yesterday. He said, we want to impeach Trump and get him out. We want him impeached and make room. He said, and have Vice President step in his place.
So I from early on, I said that I believe the ultimate goal is to invoke amendment the Constitution Amendment 2025.
Yes,
means that he's incompetent. So as he goes off unhinged and he gets more and more incoherent and more unhinged and he goes back and forth with this fight, that someone can legitimately say, "Hey, we can do that." And he has enough of these Heritage Foundation people in there who actually Vance is their poster child,
right?
He's their poster child. Nobody forgets that. You know, they still haven't released that book where he wrote the forward yet, but he's their poster child. He's really the one they chose. So they would be happy for this to continue. So he continues to unravel, and then your allies don't trust you already, and then they can go and try to invoke that amendment. To that way, they don't even have to. You know, if they can invoke the amendment, you don't even have to go through all the impeachment stuff. You can just rule that he's incompetent.
Right.
And I mentioned this in the very beginning that this is what I mentioned this in November. I mentioned this even before November, that there was a reason why Vance was made the vice president. And I still don't believe Donald Trump wanted him to be the vice president.
He did.
Because they made the Heritage Society said, if you want to be elected, this is our man. This is where you need to be and who you're going to put on the ticket. This is allegedly. This is my assumption. But I believe that they have already, remember, J.D. Vance is the poster boy for the Heritage Foundation.
This is how he got into politics. They pay for him to be where he is now. He couldn't get elected.
He couldn't. And that's
no credentials.
And I think a lot of people forget that. Like a lot of people, and it's funny, I love this community so much because of that. Like we all said it. We were like, this is a very obvious play that they're doing right now, right? Like they make this man look crazy. He has looked crazy in every single press conference that we have had with him. He has literally said, the press has asked him very easy, basic questions. And he's always like, I don't know. What do you think about that? And it's like, at a certain point, you do realize they're probably going to use this against you, right? Like you were sitting here saying you don't know to everyone.
But that's why they're deleting the White House is deleting his transcripts, though.
Right, exactly, because they don't want you to know what is being said and how it's being said. And I always say, like, all of this to me, I'm like, it's a game that they're playing right now. And they're playing it very well because they understand they have all their pieces on the board and they're just sitting here like, okay, we're going to move over here. We're going to play over here.
Around, right.
They're moving around and pivoting things in a way where a lot of people that don't pay attention to politics, they're just going to be like, I don't know. As long as I can live, work, and eat, it's fine, without realizing a lot of the stuff that they're doing is going to have ramifications, not just for the now, but very far into the future. Like somebody said, it was some meme that somebody said, we're living in the hardest part of somebody's AP history class in 2024. And I was like, that's true.
Right. I won't even tell you what I told my husband that this was. But
well, here's something
it wasn't very clean. I'll put it that way.
But clean. David Mascaro says, good morning, all. Unfortunately, at some point when you think they'll crash and burn, they'll make up and say nice things about each other, and all this will blow over like every other stupid thing done.
I don't know about this one.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Once you go nuclear, you're not coming back.
I'm waiting for the real nuclear bombs.
I'm
waiting for stuff that we have not seen from the Epstein files to hit X. When
Macy says, give us some real stuff. Give us some real news.
You want to know something? To me, if I'm being honest, I really think that even the craziest thing can come out of those files, and I honestly think the American public would not care, because we are living in such crazy times that anything that you could say in that report, I don't think most people will be like, okay, listen, because he's already in the position, right? So it's sometimes, like, for me, I'm like, that, even though that would be nice to know, right? To me, it's more of a distraction because he's in the position. So the question is, how do we get him out of it? How do we get him out of it? How do we get him out in a way where we're not getting Vance, we're not getting him, we're getting people that are not insane? Because for me, all that was distractions.
Here's a question, because I've noticed that people are starting to report on this. I've heard it in a couple different places, talking about this big, beautiful bill. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene has gone on record on TV and saying that, she didn't know what was in the bill. Sweetheart, this is your job.
They know
to read these bills before you. Like, how do you vote on something you don't even know?
They didn't read it.
No, I know, but my point is, like, that is the one job you have, is to understand these pieces of legislation that you were sent to Congress to do.
Right.
And
And
she's
she's
the
on the
only
board.
one.
She's on the board.
Yeah.
Yes.
But my thing is, Chris, responding to your question, that's the biggest thing we've been distracted from, right? Because that made it out of the House. It's now in the Senate. We have no idea what the discussions are around that because of all of this going on right now, right?
Yeah.
Because they're focused intensely on that. And even mainstream media didn't do enough coverage on the fact that these people are coming out saying, "Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. If I had known, I would have voted against it," right?
Yeah.
And so you're like, so you didn't know anything about the XAI stuff, right? So, but now you're gonna go out there public and say, "I didn't know, and I would have voted against it." That's crazy. That sounds.
Yeah, but here's
like
the trick.
Trump supporters,
It's going to come back to them because the Senate is going to
it has to
change
come
some
back.
things. And
Right.
when it comes back, let's see how they vote. Because if they
Right.
still vote yes for it, then we already know we can't trust them. But that will just I think it puts them in a really bad spot when the midterms come up next year.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the key
Well, they
is
also
will
feel.
the
If I may,
Senate
go
pull
ahead,
those
Elise.
parts out? Like they're hearing it, right? They're saying it out loud. So the
Mhm.
Senate could actually say, "Take this out,"
And they
and
will.
send it back for reconciliation, right?
Yes.
So they have that opportunity. Are they saying it out loud so that they do it? I don't know. But the point is, it's like Trump supporters. "Oh, I wish I hadn't voted." Now you're saying, but you did it.
Girl,
So now it's up to the Senate. And when are they going to take that stuff up? And how much of a distraction is this? And then let's go to the fact what Elon is saying about the budget, right? It's going to cost all of this money. But what is he talking about costing? And what is he really upset about? The stuff about his EV is not in there.
His
But
EV
he
is
knew
not
that
in
from
there.
the beginning that they were talking about against the electrical vehicles and getting rid of the infrastructure bill that supported the putting in the infrastructure for that, right? So
yeah, like that's how he got all the fast chargers all across the country.
Right.
Because of those incentives, you think about he has a monopoly across the country on chargers.
Absolutely. And so he's not talking about cutting the defense bill because that's where all his money is coming from, right?
Exactly.
Starlink.
So it hadn't been enough damage done to your health care and all of those other programs that support people haven't been cut enough for them. So that's the part.
Yeah.
So it's why did he start screaming before? And why is he talking about this? And then them in this whole cat fight. I mean, you can't call it anything else but a cat fight. This is a real cat fight. and we don't have any respect around the world anyway as a country.
This makes it even worse.
This just makes it worse.
Well, if I may interject, y'all. So this is what the other talk in DC right now is, as of yesterday and this morning. Is this going to cause the bill to crash? Because let me give you the scenario, is that since Elon is so against the bill, and it's Elon that has the money that's supporting a lot of these senators, they are also relying on his funding.
Yeah.
They're saying now,
And he's going to primary them.
now the senators are now going to have to take sides
Yes.
and say, wait a minute, we get our funding from Elon. Trump is history. And we
but
really
wait.
don't need to rely on him.
But wait, let's interject.
Before you go ahead.
So it goes to that point. Here's the thing. People don't realize because Trump is grifting on these Bitcoins, he's making almost $1 billion, was it a day or a week, something like that? He's stockpiling. So now he can say, I have money too.
But he doesn't put
So
money
this
to
is
do
going to
it.
be huh?
Trump has never put money to any candidate.
Yeah, but here's the thing. When you're desperate, you will do anything. And I think he's getting to a point now where he's going to be desperate. Elon has money.
Elon has
He can do
money.
whatever he can do whatever he wants. In order to counter that, now Trump is going to have to quote unquote use this war chest that he has stockpiled off of the American people while in the White House.
The other proposal that's going on in the conversation is that this is going to give senators that don't want to pass the bill because they are in blue areas and they
Right.
really don't want to do it. But now they have an out because of this war
So-
that is now taking place.
They could.
So I have two thoughts on that, right? So it's like it could kill the bill. It should kill it. It should have been dead on arrival, if we're being honest, because it's a
That
lot of the
part.
stuff that's in the bill,
Right.
in the bill. But I think also it depends on what direction they're coming from and what angle they're coming from, right? Because a lot of what they're trying to do, they don't really care about their constituents, right?
No.
If I can set up a situation where we're in a place where, hey, maybe 2026 isn't necessarily going to happen the way we think is going to happen, right? Where we have the normal midterm elections and all that other stuff, I don't have any incentive not to sign this bill, right? But I think it really goes back to what is it that they're in office for in the first place? Are they in office to actually try to help people and regulate things in a way that
No.
actually makes sense? Or is it that they are just there just to tout their power around? And I think that's what you're going to see is whatever way they decide is going to be what they really care about. Because
You know what they care about? Money.
Money.
And
Money and power.
Money. They need to be
And that's
in
what I mean.
Congress to get
Right.
money.
But the thing is, though, right? If I can set myself up in some of this, and I can write in some laws for me to benefit me in the end, and then send it back to the House, and they do whatever they want to do with it, I can benefit myself without benefiting the collective, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's missing in this situation. When it got out of the House, and I could tell half of these people didn't read it because I was like, half the stuff you're getting on TV talking about is in this bill in the opposite direction of what you just said.
Yes.
Right.
And either you're being
Yes.
obviously obtuse and you don't like you're acting like you don't understand, or you literally didn't read it, right? Because you could see the look on some of their faces when they're in some of these interviews. Like the journalists will ask them, "Well, do you know funding for this is going away?" And they're like, "What do you mean?" None of
They
these
don't
people
read.
read the bill because they are in a place right now where they feel like they, quote unquote, have to do these things in order to appease this person. So there's some power that they still feel that Trump, even though he is going out the door, right, has over them. If we're being honest, they don't have the incentive to please him at all. If they really want to, they have their power right now where they could say, we don't have to do anything that you say. They want to do these things.
Right.
And I think we're giving them the benefit of the doubt and saying, oh, okay, they don't really care. Like, they really don't care what they just want to show, like, look at what we can do, and throw around these things and say, we can take these things away from you and dangle it above your head and not have to really care about what's really going on. And I think that sometimes, like, we are acting like these people are going to be sane. They're not. They're not gonna be sane. They don't care. They don't care about anybody but
and
themselves.
Quite honestly, a lot of these people in their offices are afraid of the MAGA base. I mean, that's the whole problem too. So even because remember, the MAGA base has gotten upset with Trump several times. So the MAGA base is, we all know, crazy, insane.
They don't
but here's
care,
something that David says. Before you go there, David says, let me go back to David's first comment. Hold on a second. David Moscato said, the first one, he says, sorry. He says, sorry to be a downer, but in the end, is party over people for them. He also says, this move. I've seen this movie before. These Republicans play tough and then buckle.
Well, you've seen that a lot in the current administration with Trump. He goes tough and then he buckles, right? Every time.
He buckles.
I think that,
Taco, right? That's why he's called the Taco Man.
Right. As I sit here and listen to you all talk about all of this, my mind is always thinking about things. So but a big part of the distraction when you talk about the budget, right? It's going to be this $2.so billion increase in the deficit, right?
Yes, 2.4, right?
Now, big problem with this bill are the hidden things inside the bill that have nothing to do with money, but have to do with the quality of life you're going to live. What judges are able to do, how much power it would turn over to the presidency, the executive branch, and take away from everyone else. I think those are, and what, that's the biggest part that's in there. Yeah, the money is important, but those underlying things, which gives them more and more power to not pay attention to anything, so they can do whatever they want to do. Those are the pieces, because the hardest thing for any part, no matter who's in office, not to have all of that stuff in there, all of those little things that have nothing to do with anything that they're trying to get in there. And then that's why we always end up with continuing resolutions, because they make them pull it all out and they don't vote on the bills. They create a clean budget bill. And so that's a big part of what's in there. And then, going back to something that you were talking about earlier, we're talking about billionaires and all that stuff, right? We have to remember now the Palantir, which is owned by Peter Thiel, he's the person who helped Vance get to where he was.
Yes.
So it's just exchanging one for the other. They all in, and they're all in the group, that Tech Bros group. They're all in the group together. Like I said,
and Vance is more dangerous.
Yes, he is, because he's more malleable.
He understands, and he knows what's going on, and he understands how to get things done. And that, to your point, Elise, what I was saying, like they don't care.
Somebody's at the door.
This is a busy house today.
There he goes. Mr. Young is in the building. What's going on, Young?
How's it going, fam?
So, what's happening is with these, with the Tech Bros, and also again the Heritage Foundation. So you have to think about it. You got the Tech Bros, the Heritage Foundation, the Federalist Society. They're all on the same page,
right?
And I will say, Trump is he's the puppet. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's just a figurehead to just keep the mega base together. But the true dangerous person is Vance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because Vance is the Harvard graduate. Vance is the educated one. He knows how to manipulate.
He might be educated, but he's manipulated.
He knows how to manipulate.
His education is not what makes him dangerous.
Yeah, what makes him dangerous is not necessarily his education. What makes him dangerous,
not his education.
He understands how to play chess instead of playing checkers. He understands the power of being in the right place at the right time, and what to say in the moments of, and not necessarily in front of the cameras, right? It's behind the board. The cameras, where he knows how to yield his power, because I'll be honest,
it's not even that. It's
socially he's
a shapeshifter.
Yeah,
exactly. You know what it is?
Chameleon.
Remember the Manchurian Candidate, where it was someone else telling that's who he is.
Manchurian candidate.
Yeah, that's who he is.
Yeah, and it's I think what we're seeing right now is a moment of people saying, I have this power and I'm going to yield this power, and I'm going to ultimately make me the most powerful person, because that's what we do here. We're at its core in our nation, we are taught to be the most powerful. And if we have position, that makes us more powerful than anything else, right? Because that's why we can say, oh, the Harvard graduate is more powerful than the state school graduate, right? Because we put these people on pedestals that they don't deserve to be on. And we have to stop doing that. It's about breaking down that mentality and saying, like, hey, like, I am just as smart as you and you are just as smart as me. To me, we have far more intelligent conversations in this space than I have heard on the national stage lately. Because we
are reasoners in this community.
Right. We critically think about what we're saying, right? And we're always thinking, oh, if they move this over here, maybe this will go down here, right? They don't think that way. They're one track minded, where they're like, we want to dominate. And to dominate, we have to let everybody else on this level be below us. And if they're below us, we are dominating. That's all they care about is domination. Yes. They don't care about anybody but themselves. They don't.
Yes.
They could care less if we all got $1 billion tomorrow. They'd be like, it doesn't matter as long as I can get $1 trillion, right?
Right.
They
Yep.
don't care. They don't care about the collective, the people. They don't care about any of that. It's about how can I say I'm the most powerful person? That's why that man wants to have a parade on his birthday so he can show powerful,
Oh my God.
which is a waste of money, right? Like
$19 million.
Hey, we want to talk about that parade, but you know, we got to always stay focused on the three things: money, power, and control.
There you
right.
go.
That's all it is about. And they right now, them two out there fighting and having a cat fight because they're trying to figure out who's going to be in control. It's like Trump know he doesn't have Elon's money, but he's still trying to find out how am I going to stay in control. And Steve Bannon has said from the beginning he wanted to get him out of the government. He said that from the very beginning. But I think, you know, one of the things we just have to stay focused on is what drives all of this. And we give so much power ourselves and even how we speak about it to money. Elon, because of Elon, we can primary them out.
Oh, definitely.
And I think if people start understanding they can primary them out, unless we start saying, okay, we can't primary him out because he's controlling the computers and changing people's votes, that's a different story.
Yes.
Right?
Ron,
but the ability to primary out is to get them out. And I was talking to my husband earlier today. I said, you know, we focus so much on the stupidity and the craziness of people who will continue to support Trump. We need to talk to the 36% that didn't vote.
That part.
Yes.
That's the one that we need to get.
Didn't we just have this conversation yesterday?
We had this conversation yesterday.
We need to get them.
And that's the point. I mean, this is a good transition. I would say a leap, because even though this is all going, we know this is in the news right now. It's everyone's excited about it. It's a distraction, but it's also fun for a lot of folks. It's the whole fun.
It's entertainment.
To crazy folks fighting each other and all the posts and the people putting Trump putting his stuff on his Truth Social and Elon's putting all his stuff on Twitter. So now you got people now going to their accounts or opening accounts for that to get this going and to see the alien versus the predator. And I mean, it's just absolutely insane. It's a lot of fun. I mean, this is a good way to celebrate Fridays. Red Fridays is so lighthearted. But
I'm gonna let you all post all of those things.
Yes, I got it on the Predator.
But let's not forget, while all of this is going on.
Well, let me get there at least, because I know you're going there, but I want to go there.
He's still using the Sharpie. I'm just saying, he's still using the Sharpie. I live in DC. We got some major stuff that he's using the Sharpie for that you're not hearing about.
Yes.
But yes, it's fun and it's exciting. I'm not going to X. I had a Twitter account which I didn't use.
No, I ain't using it.
It is entertaining. Yes. But that man is still using his Sharpie.
Yeah, I don't have one anymore.
He's still out there with the Sharpie.
Like Elise would say, besides what she's saying now, let's keep our eyes on the ball.
Yes.
Like, because what we need to be thinking about, even though these people are doing their thing, we need to still be doing our thing. And that is going to our local people, the people in our local districts, the people that need to be elected. We need to be supporting all of those elections that are going on.
Right.
Outside of the November election, there are elections going on right now. There was a couple there was one last week. What was it? The gentleman won the South Carolina seat. That
was this week, wasn't it?
Was it Monday? Was that Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah.
So this week we got to South Carolina. This dude came in and they were shocked. It was a 40%. It wasn't just he didn't just win, he won.
And when they had the first black mayor of Omaha.
Yeah, first black mayor of Omaha.
Yeah.
So while they're doing this,
right,
we need to be doing what matters, and that
local is where it matters.
And local is where it matters. We have to think about the local elections. We need to be participating, being involved, sharing what's going on, have a voice, use our platforms, tell people, hey, there's an election going on in this state. There's an election going on in this town. There's an election going on in this city.
I have a
Especially
question.
when it comes to our civil rights, the rights to vote, and all of the above that is going to protect us from these idiots.
I have a question because
Yes.
I think because this is it's interesting because we talked about this yesterday, right? And for me, I think one of the things is when we talk and have these conversations about what we want to see, I think one of the things that we have to stop and ask ourselves as a community, right, and as individuals, is what exactly is it that we want to see in our politicians and our elected officials, right? What is it that we are looking for them to do on the local level, on the state level, on the federal level, right? Because I think sometimes we get so distracted in that they're not doing anything. We don't stop and ask, what is it that we want these politicians to do? And the reason why I think this is important is because you can never change the collective if you don't understand what it is that you want, right? And so a lot of times what we see in these general elections is I want my politician to change because they're not doing anything. So my question to the audience and to people is to start thinking, what is it that you want your politicians to do? Is it your roads? Is it your school system? Is it whatever it is? Write it down and then say, okay, now who do I go to in my state to make sure that these things are actually happening? Because I think sometimes we get so caught up in the bigger picture that we don't understand the impact that we have as individuals on the local level, on the micro level. And I think because they distract us and tell us everything is always concentrated at the top, we never focus what's happening on the bottom. PG County in Maryland just had an election the other day, right? And I think sometimes people don't even know that the election was happening because sometimes they don't know because they're not following politics, right? And if you don't follow politics, you're not going to know that these things are happening. So how do we, as people that are actually wanting to make it clear to other people, how do we get and talk to those people on a micro level and say, hey, this is what is happening in your community and this is how you can help? Because I think the reason why people don't like politics is because they feel overwhelmed by it and they don't understand what they can as an individual do to make sure that the things that they want to see changes. And it's something we have to ask ourselves. So
Brian,
yeah.
oh sorry, Brian.
Yeah, because I just realized I hadn't had my iPad plugged up, so it's at 9%. So it'll probably die. But I wanted to share along with what you're saying. I love low power mode. Okay, so I love the organic nature of the conversations because this hits upon the movie we were watching last night. This old disaster flick, and the one character, they're trying to save the planet. The guy tells his friend, I'm not worried about the billions of people. I'm just trying to say, I look at it like I'm just trying to save my wife and 2 kids. And it reminds me, we all can be overwhelmed. Don't worry, like try not to worry about the overall fire hose of falsehood. Just focus on your street corner, not literally, but show up at the school board meetings. I've done that. I took part in the hire of our new high school principal. You guys say and keep reminding all elections matter. All elections be worried, not worried, but focus on the local, because a lot of these initiatives are test bedded at the local level, at the state level.
Oh, absolutely.
And so just that reminder, and I wanted to bring that up. What's happening here in Metro Detroit and Southeast Michigan. I've called this out a couple of years ago and last year. Oh man, okay. We have a Republican politician.
Get out, right? Sorry.
We have a Republican politician here who did this in front of his gay Democratic colleague. He put forth in the state of Michigan a bill to try to rescind Lawrence v. Texas. That's the Supreme Court case. If the Roe v. Wade ruling has opened up the door to criminalizing homosexuality. He did that earlier this year, if I'm not mistaken, shortly after this orange guy got elected. There's so many others that are being test bedded in local
That's where they start.
and state
Most of them
communities.
are.
So
Yes,
Yeah,
Hobby
all of
Lobby,
them.
all of them,
that's
all
a
of it.
reminder.
All
Right.
of it. Yeah.
So my bad. I'll just hang out until
You'll
I
die.
announce at 5. I'll talk with you.
That
Friday.
knowledge
No,
gonna
thank
hold
you
on
for
for a while.
participating, B. It's always good to see you.
It's been a
And
while.
Yeah.
this is a,
But you
but
know, they
I
have
did-
all of these states,
they had these-
and we said it from the beginning, the test cases. Texas,
Always.
Florida,
Mainly
Mississippi,
Texas and
wherever it
Florida.
is. Name a red
Yes.
state, it's a test case, right?
Yes, a red
Well,
state.
not Tennessee. Tennessee is like one of the worst.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything you
Yeah.
can do, they're doing in Tennessee, right? The whole
Yeah.
fact of that what they're doing with the AI plant down there, and he wants to build even bigger one. He wants a larger plant with even more of those methane gas tanks, which is already killing people. So those are your really test case states where they're doing it, and of course Oklahoma has tried some stuff. The Supreme Court did rule against some stuff that they tried with schools, but all of that stuff is coming out of there, right? And then as we look at it, you know, what I've been trying to do is when I see that elections are coming up places, I'm making sure I put it in there. And everyone knows I live in DC, so I count on all of you all sitting in front of me for my protection, because I don't have a voting senator or a House of Representative person. We don't have people who vote.
You're not a state.
One's responsible for making sure that we have that. We tax now. We pay per capita taxes than a lot of these states.
Yeah.
And we are blue for some red states. But so we pay the taxes. We don't have the benefit of what you should have, which is voting representation.
Right.
So, you know, I posted because at the state level, your state Congress, your state House is important. Your state Supreme Courts are important. And they have people who, I mean, look at the fight that they did with the Supreme Court down in West Virginia. North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
The man finally.
Yeah, that was a long fight.
A long fight he took her through because he lost. And then, you know, the one that they just won, the woman just won her Supreme Court seat. And all of those things are people don't realize because they keep you so focused on the national Supreme Court that you forget that places where these states can elect their own Supreme Court, you need to know who's running in your own state for those Supreme Courts and when those elections are coming out. I know New York has some elections coming up at the end of this month.
Yeah, a couple of next week it is. I think it is.
Yeah.
And I would say too, like, I think the reason why I try to focus on the micro level is because I really genuinely think that there's a lot of people that don't understand and feel powerless because they think that what they are saying is not going to be heard by their Congress members on the local level or their council members on the local level. I remember we used to do with my organization, we used to do this day on the Hill. We did it at the Capitol and we did it at the local state house in our state. And I never will forget that on the state level, most of the senators and people in the House on the state level straight up said, they were like, yeah, so I understand that none of these people are going to actually come here and talk to us, right? Mm-hmm. And so what my representative said, he was just like, you know, I give people cards all the time. They never come back and they never participate because they don't feel like they can talk to me, right? And he was like, I'm trying to make it known that you can actually come to these offices and talk to me. I represent you. I think we forget in all things, right? Our country is not our leaders. We are the leaders of our country. It is not the other way around. The leaders of our country are the representatives of what we say we want, right? And we have been conditioned to believe that it's them leading us and telling us what we want. A lot of times when we vote, right, and you vote on the local level, you're paying attention on the local level, and then you on the state level, it gets a little bigger, and you're like, oh man, like, we have all these money, the money's coming from the federal level and it's not getting dispersed into the state. Well, why, right? Mississippi, prime example. Mississippi gets a whole bunch of money that's funneled into their state from the federal level that it never disperses on the local level. They do not release the funds on the local level on purpose because they do not want you to understand that this money is there, right? And this happens very often in a lot of these states. And some of these things that we say we want fixed, it's not that they can't get fixed, it's that we're not forcing the conversation. 14th Street in DC, right? I never will forget, there was a council of people and they wanted to revamp 14th Street. And I met one of the people that helped revamp 14th Street, right? If you go on 14th Street, when I was a little kid, 14th Street was a time, okay? It was a time.
14th Street was a nighttime fun.
Yeah, it was a nighttime walk, okay, of the others. Okay? It was a time. But now if you go there, it's unrecognizable, right? One of the things that one of the people that worked on that told me, she said, we tried to get the local people to work with us because we did not want to price them out. We did not want to push them out of this area, right? They would not work with them. And she said it hurt her because she was saying, we need to understand the power that we have. It is not, and they flipped that neighborhood and it's nice and you can say it's to do. Half the people that were living in that area, right? They can't afford to go back there. Not because it's something that couldn't have been worked on. It's because we believe and we're being told, hey, you can't do that. And it's like, no, you can. You have to go and do it though. And sometimes you can't just use the excuse, well, that's their job. You have to be a part of it. Right. And I know people don't want to be a part of it, but you have to be a part of it. You have to want to be a part of it.
Can I interject something on behalf of the citizens of DC?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've been here for over 40 years. So to say that the people didn't come or they didn't talk, I've been there when they tried. I have.
And I'm not saying that
I know.
Jazzy,
I'm gonna need you to listen to me. I'm gonna need you to listen to me on this one. Because I've been there on the education level and everything. I've been to the hearings. They have gone and they've tried. Those hearing offices used to be packed with just regular citizens. And inevitably, especially when Black people showed up or they talked to them in their communities, they were treated so badly. I was there that they stopped.
Oh, yeah, I was there too.
And so it wasn't that they didn't want to. They had gotten beaten down so much, they just stopped because they were beaten down. I watched that. I watched that in education. I mean, to the point where I had to take a different route in education, which I went to the Senate. I went to the House of Representatives and forced them to meet with people on education from DC. Because I knew I had to do it. It was 10 of, but it was 10 enough to be effective. I testified on Capitol Hill because it had to start with one, right? And then when you go to the meetings, you have to be informed, and not everybody has that information, but you have to be informed. But you also, it's like working in a school. I worked in schools where parents would walk through the door, particularly Black parents, especially parents who may not have had all of the skills they needed, walk through the door, wanted to talk and be civil, and they were actually belittled and pushed away to the point that they started to become irate. So that's
they're not going to be nice to you. I'm gonna be real with you. They're not going to be nice to you. I've sat in these meetings before. Their whole goal is to make you frustrated. Their goal is to push you out. Their goal is to make you so that you don't come and stop showing up. But we have to keep showing up even in our frustration, because we are the ones that are in control, and they understand. As frustrated as I am with you, and I'm going to push you out. I've seen it happen. So when I was little, Silver Spring, Maryland, the city place that is there now was not a thing. And I remember they wanted to make a Mall of America. And the reason why they didn't make a Mall of America was because they did not want the riffraff from DC to come into Silver Spring, Maryland. Right. So it never developed into what they wanted it to be. Right. But the thing is, it's kind of like those people that did not want these quote unquote riffraff over there, they fought and they kept showing up. We have to keep showing up even in our frustration. We have to keep showing up and stand 10 tones down in it. Because if we do not show up and we say, okay, eventually we get so frustrated and wash our hands of it, that's what they're waiting for. Because the moment you do that, then they're like, all right, let's come in and we're going to take what you have. And that's exactly what is happening in our neighborhoods. We cannot get so frustrated that we stop caring. And I understand, and I'm not saying that I don't understand.
So they didn't stop caring. They didn't stop caring. They were like,
but you stopped showing up.
Just to watch it from an activist standpoint in DC was painful.
Yeah,
because I was with them. Yeah. I did a picket in front of the Board of Education with 5 people on TV. But
And
I
was
it's
there
to watch how
I'm going to
our
interject. I'm going to
everyday
interject.
citizens were treated. I think it's just hard to watch that and hard
It's
to
hard.
and I'm gonna use something you always use, Jazzy,
Mhm.
on us.
Mhm.
It's easy for you to sit there and say that from your point of view. When
I was
when you go
there.
into the neighborhood, I know, but I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But you were
Mhm.
also there, and you had a different understanding and viewpoint. And when you start talking to the people in those neighborhoods and communities and their experiences, we have to acknowledge their experiences as well, because that was a big part of their experiences and what was actually being allowed to happen in the communities as they brought in the drugs and all of those things into communities and made sure that people were in such a debilitated state that sometimes they could not advocate for anything.
No,
Well, before you, I'm
part.
going to cut in now because we got to close out a little bit. But I want your prediction. We are. This is Friday. This is Focus Friday. Next Focus Friday. Where will we be? Just say it. And you got 1 minute to say. 30 to 1 minute to say where will we be 1 week from today, if you want to predict. Okay, Chris Edwards.
I'm not a prophet. I can't predict. And I mean, no, to be honest, the way things are going, who knows where we'll be in a week? I'm sure it will be drastically different. So I'm actually looking forward to having a conversation next week Friday to see where we are.
Woo, nice. Brian?
Where will we be next week?
In a week. Just give me, where do you think we'll be in a week? Just a prediction. Just your thoughts.
Yeah, my prediction. You see this past week, right?
There you go. And Lise, what do you think? Where
like
do you think we'll be?
Like my mother used to say, Lord willing and the creek don't rise. We'll be looking at each other. I'll be preparing for my birthday because we cannot predict anything because DC got a whole week of getting ready for that parade too. So
yes,
all of that stuff is going to happen. So DC is going to be in a little bit of chaos. But as far as this other drama, we don't know where the girls are going to be by then. We don't know where the cat's going to be. We don't know where the girls going to be by then. But
yeah,
Lord, when creek don't rise, we'll be sitting here looking at each other and talking.
And Jay-Z, what do you think we'll be a week from today?
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
That's me, Jay-Z. I'm sorry, Jazzy.
I thought he did it as a joke.
Wait, Jay-Z's in the building now. Jazzy.
Hey, listen.
Jazzy.
Yeah, we just gonna be here. I don't even know. To be honest, anything could happen. I will just say we'll probably have a whole nother slew of people that they're going to want to deport and who knows what we're going to be. Listen, anything can happen. It's going to be a surprise. Surprise.
That part.
I don't know if you guys used to remember the McLaughlin Hour on Sundays. I predict that Elon will have exposed the election between now and next week. And I think something is going to it's going to be a problem. And JD Vance may be something they may be talking about the 25th Amendment.
Look, please don't make that happen.
I don't want it to happen, but I have this
This is
I
crazy.
think things are moving fast, and but also as just so you guys know that for New York City's election is June 24th.
June 20th, right? Yeah.
So the 24th we'll be having our elections here in New York City for the primary for our mayor, and Cuomo is in the lead right now, and we'll see what happens in that area.
So Rod, you know what came to my mind when you were going through the possibilities?
Yeah,
Jesus come crack the sky. End it now.
The trumpets might be playing by next week. Who knows?
Oh my God!
Lord bless Ron. Lord bless.
I'm like, I don't know.
Oh my God, Ron.
Lord bless, she says, and Cass says, a bit further than this week, a week more into the shenanigans. And G is laughing out there. So guys, let me just give you, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you guys for joining the panel today. This was a great conversation.
I have to say thank you to Jazzy for wearing the hat.
Oh, wearing that hat. What does the hat say? What does the hat say?
Living life, not just
living
existing.
life, not just existing.
Yes, go get one.
I love it. I love it. And like I say, stay
thank
focused.
you, Jazzy.
We got to stay focused. That's right.
Sure.
We're going to use our cameras, but we're going to stay focused on life. Okay.
Yes.
There you go. We're going to stay focused.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris, for popping in. I know you are in home designing and all that stuff over there, but it was so good to have you back.
Yeah.
It's good to be back.
We missed you. We missed you.
Ryan, you
And
keep
definitely-
laughing. I don't want anything to happen over the weekend that's going to raise your blood pressure by Monday.
You know, I got Photoville tomorrow. They say it's supposed to rain tomorrow, but Photoville, if you are in New York City, come out to under the Brooklyn Bridge in Brooklyn and check out the opening of Photoville. We'll be there. I will be there. I'll be broadcasting some of the events. So you'll be able to catch our On the Move tomorrow. And again, thank you to the Patreon folks that support what we do here. If you want to support what we do here, join our Patreon community. Or anytime you want, you can always press that little dollar sign thing on the icon on this page on YouTube on the bottom.
Right side.
Yeah, always helps as well. And but again, this was a great conversation. I love the different perspective. I mean, man, Alien versus Predator.
Crazy. I get a little crazy sometimes.
No, this conversation. Conversation is a good thing. And
Yes.
but who will win, the alien or the predator?
Now, which one of those cats gonna come out on top?
I'm gonna say Mars. I'm gonna say Mars at this point because it's both of them.
On Mars. Yes, Mars will win, Jazzy. They won't get none of this.
Hey, Carl is in the building. Carl Brody is in the building. He said, "Stop voting Democrat. They are just as bad as Republicans. Vote for the right person, not party."
Hold on. Before we go, one last thing. In the former press secretary for Biden, Jean, what was her name?
Karine Pierre.
And she left the Democratic Party and
Democratic
wrote a
Party.
book.
Yeah.
Not a good thing. Not the fact that she left the party, but it's how she did it.
Yeah,
that's the tricky part.
And what's her name again?
Karine.
Yeah, Karine Jean-Pierre, something like that.
Yeah, Karine Jean-Pierre.
Jean-Pierre. So I'm gonna just say one thing to that comment.
I
saw that in there. Respect you. Now, when you all start getting somebody together and making sure that you get that known, then come talk to me. Y'all got to get somebody out there people know. We can't just, because a part of how we got there is trying to figure that out. And we got to have somebody that's not popping up at just every 4 years and not building something so that people know who they are. If people want to run and they want to run outside those two parties, they need to start building now, working now, to let people know who these people are so they can start building support.
We had this conversation yesterday.
Had this conversation many times. When you get there, if you just sitting in that office, you have absolutely no support behind you. You can get absolutely nothing done, and we've seen that happen to president after president. Once they lose the House and the Senate, we've seen them not have the support. Yeah. So if you want that to happen, and you want to keep telling people things that don't look at other parties, then y'all, who has that desire and energy, start right now. Making sure people know people locally for elections that you want them to be in, statewide for elections you want them to be in, and not just pop up when those elections show up and say, vote for me, and nobody has a clue. That's why Cuomo can win something, because people have heard his name. So get out there and start working on that. If you want to have people running in 2026 for something, they need to start working now so that groundswell is there and that people know who they are and acknowledge them. I get it when people say stop doing stuff. I'm going to keep doing what I do until you show me somebody that's out there. And do I vote for people just because they're Democrats? Absolutely not. I vote for them because I vote for the safety of my family, my friends, and those people I love. Now, when you and all the other people out there start getting that together and understanding what's necessary to have these people, have people who are not in those parties really win and be productive and constructive and get supported most of all, you got to get them out there now. We got to know who they are now. We got to start out there.
I agree. And that's the whole key. That's the whole key. And you are seeing that the country is moving towards more independence, meaning in politics, in news media, it is moving towards that middle. However, like Jazzy and I had this conversation yesterday, those are in that independent lane, so that way you don't have to vote for Republicans or Democrats, because you got to start from the grassroots and build and build and build. Absolutely. So that way you can have in the Senate independents that were going to support your bills. Absolutely. And your legislation, and you're going to need enough independents in the House of Representatives to support. But if you are just a Lone Star independent, you could win the presidency, but you ain't gonna get nothing done, because the Democrats are gonna be with the Democrats and the Republicans are gonna be with the Republicans, and the independent will be standing alone, because this is a two-party country unless the people rise up and say, we're gonna put them in the local, put them in the local areas, and get independence in those Senate seats, in the state Senates and the state House of Representatives. It's a whole infrastructure you have to build to be successful at being an independent movement.
And just understand.
And I will leave it at that.
Oh, bye-bye.
Goodbye. No more.
I know.
Have a great weekend, y'all. Hopefully, I'll see some of you at the Photoville in New York City. This is some fireworks. Can I get my fireworks going?
I don't have fireworks. I don't have.
I can't ever get.
I'm on a PC. I don't have any.
You keep moving too much.
Now, if I just did this, I would get the balloons, right? The balloons.
You must be doing it, Ron. You must not be doing it right.
Something is not happening. I can't ever get it right. I can't. It doesn't.
There you go, Chris.
Only Chris always gets it right. Anyway.
You're gonna get it right, Rod.
One day I'm gonna get it right. Thank you guys. And make sure you hit the likes. Make sure you hit the comment boxes. Continue to hit the likes. Make sure you share what we do here. And I love you guys for cheering in and popping in with us today. We had a great conversation. And this is what we do here at Touch Base Daily every day. So we'll be back. We'll be back in these streets, but I'll be in the streets tomorrow. So see you tomorrow. Later. Hello, and thank you for joining us today. Make sure you hit the like, the subscribe, and leave a comment on this video. I would love to hear from you. Thank you again. Until I see you next time.